Welcome back, everyone, to the Available Post Podcast, the podcast where I speak into the void and hope someone listens. I'm your host, Callum, and today we have a very, very special topic. A very topic near and dear to my heart, and that is we're talking about The Watcher, a Netflix series, something that I watched when it came out last year and somehow was the worst thing I've ever seen last year, but people online don't seem to think the same. They're either pretty indifferent or they just kind of forgot about it existing, but I don't forget about this. I never forgot about this little thing. So, little spoiler warning right at the beginning. I'm going to probably spoil a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to rewatch that piece of shit. I am just going to think about what happened there, and talk about it. So I'm probably going to spoil some bits. Hopefully I'm remembering them right about The Watcher. But I mean, I'll probably end up talking about a little bit of American Horror Story as well, because, same writer. They just steal a bunch of ideas from that and kind of shove it into this show. You can see a very big through line of how Ryan Murphy does all of his stuff. So, whatever episode of whatever American Horror Story might be spoiled to, who knows? I've watched that even less time than I watched this. I both watched American Horror Story Cult and The Watcher in the same year. And whereas my wife thinks American Horror Story Cult was the worst thing we watched that year, I think The Watcher is. But we can both agree that those are the top two worst things we watched that year. So, I mean, whatever. It's the way it goes. All right, so let's get into it. The Watcher. What is The Watcher? Based on a quote-unquote true story. Basically, read a little bit about the story while watching it. I knew a little bit about it before I watched the show. I thought that's why it was kind of interesting. It was kind of cool. I also didn't know Ryan Murphy was doing the show, so I probably just skipped right out on it if I had known that. But like most of the television they produce, once you watch one episode, you're like, oh god, I have to finish it. I have to finish this stupid piece of crap. But sometimes it's like, you get a little cool thing here and there. The Watcher, I didn't find any cool things here or there. I found a lot of very good actors doing the best they could for what they were given in their direction. I'm not gonna harp on the actors for this. I don't think they have anything to do with the downfall of this show. I think the acting and like the star-studded cast, everything was probably a good call. Because if it was like also bad acting on top of that, this would have been. Actually, it might have turned around and been like kind of enjoyable for me if it was that bad. But real story of The Watcher. That's where we're going. Real story of The Watcher. People buy a house. Cheap house, Amityville horror style, being like, oh yeah, why is this house like cheap? But it's not like cheap enough for them to not go, into debt, obviously. They're buying a huge house. It's their dream house. They get there, and then they start getting weird letters in the mail, being like, hey man, I'm watching you. This house wants young blood, and things like that. And you're like, what the hell is this, right? And they keep on getting these weird letters about like this house and like how it is and like the admiration for the house and the history of the house, and there's been like generations of people watching the house. And the people living there are like, well, what the hell is this? I don't want some like crazy serial killer stalker coming around watching me and stuff. So Dad goes around, tries to look for people to doing it, doing a bunch of investigation, literally sitting on the lawn all the time. And then as soon as like the one night he wouldn't sit on the lawn, like another letter would come when he's not watching. He's being watched the entire time, which is kind of like the creepy thing. And that's the true story. Whoever did it has never been caught. That's kind of like the whole mystery. Like, oh, this is like still an open case. It happened in, I think, 2014. So it's not even, like, a non-surveillance camera time. It's not back in the 1800s or anything. But, yeah. So that's, like, kind of the compelling, cool story that happened, right? Which, almost sounds like a creepypasta. Which, you could probably make, like, a very, very short film about, like, maybe a 30-minute special on, and you can kind of have that together and, like, explore that. No. What we're going to do is we're going to have a 7-hour epic 7 episodes, each an hour each, of developing all the characters around that could have been the people. So what happens? Well, I mean, you know the story. Family buys a house. Ooh, it's cheaper than I expected. I guess I'll buy it. You know, real estate agent's like, yeah, I mean, if you want to buy it, you can buy it. Because the real estate agent, spoiler alert, everybody, spoilers all around, real estate agent wants to buy it for herself, but she kind of wants the price to go down a little, you know? So bad things happen around the house. Price value goes down, she can get the house. She doesn't care. She like tries to say it's haunted and stuff like that. It's not haunted. There's no ghosts in this. As much as they want to like tell you there's paranormal and supernatural things happening in this show, there's nothing like that. But because Ryan Murphy wrote American Horror Story, he wants this to be as close to Murder House, people's beloved American Horror Story first season, as they can. Which, by the way, is like, I don't know why you would ever want something from 2011 to be remembered in 2022 when your entire premise of American Horror Story Murder House was that maybe the school shooter's actually kind of sympathetic, you know? That's the plot. The plot of American Horror Story Murder House is like, actually, like, maybe the school shooter's kind of cool. Which is fucked up. Yeah. No, you shouldn't. No. The characters in American Horror Story don't work, but they're really trying to get, like, you know... Do you guys remember Murder House? Well, this is kind of like that. Maybe there's ghosts around. Maybe people are dead. Ooh. They even have a whole plot point where, like, a guy who's supposed to be dead is actually just, like, part of some historical society, and he's faking his death. Ridiculous. I guess he's supposed to be dead and, like, a murderer at the same time. You know? Not quite school shooter level, but not quite not. Not quite not, you know? At least he's not supposed to be the hero of the story. Oh boy, I need to drink some coffee. This is talking about The Watcher gets me going. So the first episode, you know, they get their house, they set up, and they start, you know, getting stuff, and they start talking to the little close-knit neighborhood. You know, it's an expensive place. There's a bunch of nosy neighbors. That's gonna happen. And one of the first encounters they get is like a weird lady, glasses, and she's just kind of standing in their lawn being like, oh yeah, did you know all the history of this house? Do you know like the historical value of this house? You better not like ruin the dumbwaiter in there. Hopefully you're not putting any like crazy things in the house. And the Italian man's like, the mamma mia, you know, I gotta make it of wood. How am I supposed to make it a pasta in the kitchen if I don't make it of wood at tables? Sorry, I'm also Italian, so this is, I get it. I get it, you know? I also want to make pasta in my kitchen, and if I had huge wooden tables all over the place, the whole countertop being nice to, like, roll pasta on, beautiful. But Historical Lady Society says, no, you can't do that. That looks terrible. I hate Italian food. Oh, no, you can't do that to the house. It's a historical piece of property. You people don't respect the property. You don't respect the history. Who cares? Who the hell cares? It doesn't matter. Basically, that goes nowhere. They have a little cult society, and then he meets the other neighbors, the little Watchyloo neighbors, who just sit on their porch and literally watch the house because I guess... I don't know. I honestly have no idea why they do that, but they like to pick the lawn. You know, and him being an Italian man, he should be used to people picking the lawn, you know? He's probably been eating goddamn dandelions since he was young. But, you know, the neighbors are on his, like, little side of the property, picking the roses or whatever plant he has at the edge. And he goes out and says, like, yeah, I mean, like, these are our plants. You can't just do gardening in my yard. Which is reasonable. Don't come onto my lawn and do your gardening. And the neighbors just freak out. They're like, I'm basically like a step away from saying like, you're gonna regret this. I'm going to literally murder you if because you said I can't pick your garden anymore. Everyone else let us pick the garden, but you're not gonna let us pick the garden. Oh, that's like them's fighting words, okay? So then they're all pouty, and then they never make friends anymore because he said don't don't destroy my lawn. Which, I mean, whatever. You're a big rich dink who's like fighting against your lawn, but at the same time, like, why do they think they can just go and fight, like, play around with someone's lawn? Okay, so those are like the two new characters. We have the real estate agent who, she's over the top. She's fun. She's probably the only fun part about this entire series, honestly. She's pretty cool. Exciting character. Yeah, just kind of hangs out, has a good time. Then, so you got those two people, and then all of a sudden, they get the spooky jump scare of there's I guess Ryan Murphy loves to have a diverse cast, so they have someone with like learning disability who likes to ride the dumbwaiter and also likes to break into the house. So they break guys just in their house in the dumbwaiter, and obviously they throw the man out of the house because there's a guy in your dumbwaiter. You can't just have a big man riding your dumbwaiter when he's not invited into the house. This is like it's such a weird thing that everyone around them is just like, yeah, no, he just likes to ride the dumbwaiter. Everyone was fine with it. Not a single person like cared if he just rode the dumbwaiter. It's always riding the dumbwaiter. It's his favorite thing to do. Like it's that he's kind of part of the house. This guy just comes with the house, He's my like little brother or whatever, but he comes with the house. Don't be mean to him. And to which I say, I don't understand how, like, in American Horror Story, it was even stupider, where people just showed up in the house, like just random people in your house all the time. In American Horror Story Murder House, it was just like, oh, the neighbor's in my house. They weren't invited in, but they're just in my house doing things. Insane. But everyone other than the family, obviously, is like, no, it's cool. Don't worry about the guy in your house. That's cool. That's normal, right? No, it's ridiculous. So this is just episode 1, and it's making me mad. This series makes me mad, but like it was compelling enough to be like, okay, where on earth? Obviously, like you got the creepy neighbors and stuff. Where are they going to go from this? It's like, are they going to do the classic trope where they never go to the cops? Are they going to do the classic trope where it's like, maybe there is actually something supernatural happening after they get their letter saying, this house needs to spill blood, or whatever. Who knows? So you get into, like, the next couple episodes, and they go to the cops. Cops are useless. That's the, whatever. They are. He basically says, like, yeah, we'll keep an eye out, but, like, you can't keep our eyes out all the time. We don't have the manpower to do it. Okay, fair enough. And, he also hires someone to get, like, all the cameras and stuff going, which is good. You put security cameras up, you contact the police, you say, like, yo, someone's sending us creepy messages. All my neighbors are completely insane. There was a man in my dumbwaiter. Also, spoiler alert. I'm just going to keep on saying spoiler alert. Ooh, I got the crew upstairs going. Spoiler alert, right? It's like the kid's, like, pet ferret dies because you also have to kill pets because, ooh, spooky, kill the pets. Someone's in your house, kill the pet. Okay? Dumb. So, we got Pet Dead episode 1. We have Dumbwaiter Man. We have two nosy neighbors that want to pick the lawn because they're hungry, I guess. I don't know. And then we have the historical lady who does not like Italians. Saying, ooh, Italian things on the kitchen. Terrible. Bad. Yeah. And of course, things start, uncovering. More stories happen. We get a private investigator who goes around, and she's sassy, and she's, just really wants the job because I guess she just really wants the job. So she's getting the job. She's doing her, like, thing. And it's a very tight-knit community, which is very strange for, there to be a private investigator there. Everyone would know everything anyways. Like, you could probably just get the gossip somewhere. But keeps on going. By, like, episode 2, they got the install. I think it's episode 2. I don't know. There's only 7 episodes, so not much It could be any episode, but they get like, security cameras installed and stuff. And then of course, security camera guy, a handsome young man, has his own business stuff. What does he do? He goes for the teenage daughter. Super cool. Like, why? Why did they have to add that? Yeah, and it turns out not only is he super cool, he also has a gamer name, and his gamer name was the Watcher back when he used to play Call of Duty or whatever the hell he was playing. Probably Counter Ops or Spec of Duty. Who knows? Day of Defeat. He was a Day of Defeat main, really. So, so he's suspect number one, right? He has the security camera business. He's got hots for his daughter, and that is honestly weird because she's what, 15, 16, something like that, like canonically. Too young to be dating the man with his own business, my opinion. This is an opinion, I don't know, but yeah, so that happens in the show, and then it turns out, and then he has the gamer tag called the Watcher, and he's like, it's gotta be you, and then it's not him. Wow. And he's like, well, then it's gotta be my weird neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Pictalon. And, and then it turns out that their son killed them. They're dead, murdered in their house. And the next episode, they come home from vacation being like, oh no, our deranged son just picked up 2 random people, brought them to my house, and murdered them. What does that have to do with anything? Nothing. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. I don't know why that happened. I don't know why that's a thing. I don't know why they put that in the show. The only thing I know, the only reason they did that is because they're like, well, Netflix told us we had to do 7 episodes. Okay? We have to do 7 episodes, so we have to do this. Okay? So that's the whole plot line of those two, and dead, not dead, weird stuff, and they're just kind of cranky old people that may or may not, that literally watch the house because they have they have binoculars that just kind of stare at the house, which is reason enough to kind of hate them. But then there's obviously the Historical Society, and the Historical Society is a fun little thing where it's more like a cult about the house. It's like a weird cult about the house where they do rituals. They have a bunch of people, the 2 neighbors are there, and the weird lady from the Historical Society, obviously, and, everyone's favorite dumbbell driver. He's there, part of the group for some reason. And then there's another character, and he's a man, and he's, looks like a normal little businessman. But really, he's the guy who used to own the house, faked his own death because he murdered a bunch of high school kids in the house and then disappeared. Woo! Again, why? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. But there they are. That's what they're doing. So you got all these angles, right? And then we start getting weird vibes from the investigator, the private investigator, and she's all quirky and doing her thing and saying who did what. And it keeps on going on, and you're like, oh, it's actually the cop and the real estate agent all along. They're having an affair together, right? They want to basically gaslight them out of the house to bring down the property price so they can get the house for themselves and stuff like that. It's okay, that's ridiculous too, but none of that explains the neighbors. The problem with the whole thing is everyone should be put in jail, especially the man, especially the people in the house doing crazy weird things, accusing people and basically assaulting people all the time, going around investigating. They find some weird guy who's an actor but used to own the house, but they're oh, he's unreliable though because of his drug addiction. Ooh, and it doesn't make any sense. The Watcher comes all together, and all that is annoying, but you're here for the ride, right? And that's all up until episode 6, and you're okay, and then you're cool, one more episode. they're finally going to just like tie it all together, whatever, however stupid it is. Because, like, man, there's so much dumb things that go on. Yeah, like weird open houses. Like, it's almost beat for beat exactly how American Horror Story Murder House happens. Like, weird things happen when you go in the house. Bunch of random people show up for no reason. You finally like, God damn it, I guess we gotta sell. And then, like, well, we're gonna find out the mystery of this place, right? And in American Horror Story Murder House, Death House, whatever you want to call it, American Horror Story Season 1, you find out, hey, everyone who dies on the property is kind of trapped here as a ghost. One person wants their bones to be found, but you can see that the ghost can interact with objects, so they could just dig up their own bones and throw them somewhere else if they wanted to. But don't think too hard about that. That's American Horror Story, right? So they eventually, in American Horror Story, want to sell the house, but because their daughter died there, now they kind of want to just stay, and it's dumb. The whole thing is stupid, right? But it kind of has like a resolution. It kind of has an ending, and then it branches off into another 100 seasons of American Horror Story, which progressively get worse and worse somehow. But going back to The Watcher, season 6, like episode 6, you're like, wow, it could be anyone, it could be anything. But we got some people on the job, we're ready to go. So then, oh boy, I gotta focus myself for this one. We hit the ending of this season. If it was just episode 1 to 6, I would never even think about talking about this. But episode 7 is so egregiously bad, so mindlessly stupid, that it makes me want to it makes me never want to watch TV again. Honestly, it makes me never want to watch a series from Ryan Murphy ever again. Definitely not. I was so awestruck at how stupid this ending was. So we start with the private investigator on their deathbed. And they say, listen, this was my last gig. So you know what I did? I fabricated the whole thing so I could investigate my last gig. And goes through the entire thing. Like, full 20 minutes. Like, showtime. Of how it was all her doing everything. How they did all this stuff. How they did all that stuff. And then, I was the one who put the letters there. I've been kind of making people suspect you of weird things so they act strange against you. I paid off that actor who used to live in your house to do that. I did all this stuff. I had access to your house. I took the pictures of you while you were sleeping. I think that happened. I think there was pictures while you were sleeping or something stupid. And I had access to the, the cameras and stuff because I guess she's related to the camera kid in some way. I think. If I'm remembering rightly, it was something like that. And kept on going and going. And it's it was all me. And I'm sorry. And she's just telling the husband this. And then, the husband goes back to, and thinks about it. It's but then there was, things that she couldn't have done. Just okay, you couldn't have done some of these things, after, a bit. And then in the next 2 minutes, she's like, oh, yeah, I just didn't want my last case to be not solved. So actually I just wasted 20 minutes of your time because, yeah, you're right. It wasn't me. And then die. Which is not only a waste of time, but maybe the worst storytelling I think I've... why? You're just padding the runtime. And by the way, episode 7's title is called Haunted, which there is no supernatural elements to this entire story. It makes you want to think about it, but there's no supernatural elements to this. It's not ooh, maybe the ghosts were writing. Are the ghosts watching? No, the ghosts aren't watching. It's probably one of your stupid neighbors, or some people say it was the wife setting it up for herself because she's going crazy and wants to get out of the house, but You know, they have financial problems and stuff, like, you know, things like that, stupid things like that. But it doesn't matter. We just wasted 20 minutes of our time talking about this really, really, really dumb little bit of maybe the private investigator did it. Crazy. Completely crazy. Hated that. So then that went nowhere, and that was a waste of time. So then they're left with like trying to figure out who's doing it, right? And like they finally move out. They go back to New York, I think, and just back to their apartment. They're like, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna go live in New York or Chicago or something like that. Some big city, small apartment kind of idea. You know, where they can afford, I guess, now still, even though they went bankrupt buying this house. I guess they sold it, and they sold it to the real estate agent who bought it from under them, which she obviously wanted to do anyways, but like still technically wasn't the watcher. And her, I think her dog dies, maybe at the end, if I'm remembering right. I don't know. It's something Ryan Murphy would do, would be kill the pet. Haha. Got him. Maybe that'll evoke some motion out of them. Like kill their pets. Silly. Bad move. Don't like it. But, you know, she gets haunted and she runs out and she doesn't like it and people are in her house and it's weird and she gets basically bullied out of the house she just bought for a very cheap price because, you know, it's a cursed house. But then we get the ending, which obviously the watcher was never found, but then the wife starts like faking a job. I think the wife and the husband both start like faking a job or something and just start watching the house themselves. Like the house is like possessing them to watch it. Like the idea is that everyone in the town used to live in this house, but then they all just watch it, which is, you know, the exact fucking plot of Murder House. Everyone just lived in the house at some point in time, which doesn't make any damn sense. But then they're like trapped and like loving the house. Is the exact same plot. They tried to take this little creepypasta of a story, right? They took this little like, ooh, someone's sending messages to the house, and they're like, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like American Horror Story Season 1. And that's what they did. They rewrote American Horror Season 1 with a quote-unquote true story to try and make it seem creepier than it is. And, which is creepy. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, the actual true story, like, if that stuff happened, like, the way it was written in, like, the articles and stuff, then yeah, that's, like, terrifying. You don't want someone writing weird shit about you in your house and sending you letters and, like, saying they're watching you and, like, doing weird, talking about, like, blood in the house and, like, have you discovered the baby in the basement? And, like, you don't want that. No one wants that. Like, which, by the way, was also said in the show and then literally never addressed at all. Like that none of that was addressed, even remotely. So I don't know what that's all about. They just kind of like took all these cool ideas and just added the letters there. There was also another suspect who conveniently was a teacher who appreciated old architecture of the houses and would like tell his students to write letters to the houses as like a plot. And then he's like, no, I'm literally just a retired teacher who liked architecture. I have nothing to do with this, and if you keep harassing me, I'm going to just do weird shit to you. So that was another thing that just happened in the show, for which no payoff. There's been no payoff. So at the end, no one finds out who the watcher is. The two people who bought the house move out, but then they come in back and become the watcher. Stupid. So stupid. But yeah, the parallels to American Horror Story Season 1 is that it's the exact same kind of aspect. Like, there's something drawing people to this stupid murder house, even though it's known as the murder house, and no one does any research into the house before they go buy it. Like, I wonder why this big house is cheap. It's like it's literally like, it's such a trope. Even even in 2011, it was such a trope that like everyone knew about, like Amityville Horror. Okay, that's like been around for a long time now, but like it's like, why is this house so cheap? Oh, it's been haunted, or like, you know, people are watching it. There's like a flag on it by the city. Something weird like that. That's why you get a house for cheap. It's because if it's in a great location, it's a huge house. The reason it's cheap is because there's definitely something wrong with it. No, there's no other reason. That's just there's nothing that's too good to be true. And I mean, you could be like, yeah, I don't believe in ghosts, but if you're like, it's not ghosts, it's lunatics watching the house. We don't know who it is, but they have access to your place. You'd be like, oh, well, like you'd be like, well, okay, but like, do they have access to the place if I like change the locks and stuff? They'll be like, yes. You'd say, cool. So like having doors is pointless. Like you wouldn't buy a house without doors. Doesn't make any sense, but that's fine. Fine. That's not the worst part. The worst part is that they try and make it so like this house kind of curses you into watching it. That's not. That's the ending of the movie. That's the ending of the whole series. That's not what it is. That's not what the short story is. That's like the stupidest way you could have ended it, and how they're so obsessed with this house that they're just going there. Someone was so obsessed with the house that she literally died. And saying like, yeah, it was me all along, and then, oops, no, it wasn't actually. You're right. Haha. Goodbye. So crazy. Yeah. That's my ramblings. You know how these go. You know, this isn't the first one I've put out. This is the third one I've put out. So you know exactly how these things go. I just ramble about something for a while, and someone watches it and says, huh, nice. But yeah, that's as much as I can ramble on about The Watcher without having watched it since October of last year, and I refuse to rewatch it. I think no one else should rewatch it. I think it's I think we should stop giving Ryan Murphy money. The only thing I enjoyed back when it came out, American Horror Story, Murder House, and I like season 2, and I didn't really like season 3, and then nothing after that was good. But, you know, looking back on season 1 and remembering that they basically glorified a school shooter as like some sort of sympathetic hero, makes me want to scream a little. And you know, in season 2 there's the Anne Frank episode. That was pretty cool. So that's the same guy that wrote The Watcher and did that stuff. He had a really great. No, he didn't do anything. Great cast is what I'm trying to say. He's got like great cast of actors. Plays around with that. It's cool. I never watched Glee. Didn't seem very good. Not my thing. The only show that I think like I had fun with, that was like cool and compelling, that like I don't think I would hate today, was this first season of Scream Queens. That was really fun. I enjoyed that. Other than that, I give The Watcher a 0. Well, nah, I give it a 1 out of 10. It's a 1 out of 10. Watcher's 1 out of 10. American Horror Story season 1's probably like a 2 out of 10. Those are the things that I'm going to say about The Watcher and Ryan Murphy and this entire thing. I don't understand. Like, I get it's supposed to be campy and like fun, but like really what it is like it's just frustrating. The whole thing. Yeah. I give it. I sentence this show to forever make pasta on marble tile, so you don't get that olive oil taste into your dough without the wood tabletops. You'll forever have bland pizza dough, bland pasta. That's what I sentence Ryan Murphy to: bland pasta and pizza for the rest of his existence. And with that, thanks for having a listen. You can catch me on YouTube, where you found this, at youtube.com/ferallamb. And that's me. That's Callum. I'm signing out now. That was enough rambling. I've been dreading this one. I've been dreading doing this one, honestly. Thinking about it. I've been thinking about The Watcher for about a week now. I went and I rewatched the trailer and was like, oh yeah, that happened. Remember when there was a weird love happening between the underage girl and the guy who puts the cameras together? Yeah, super cool. Yeah, there's a bunch of weird stuff that went on. Yeah, the kid's ferret died probably because they didn't want to keep the ferret in the show. That sounds difficult. Keep the ferret in the show. So the ferret has to die. And that's it. That's the end of this. That's the end of my review. That's the end of my podcast for this month, my lovely little birthday month. There's definitely going to be lots of stuff. You should definitely you should comment below. If you made it this far in the video, comment below and tell me what you thought of The Watcher. Or if you watched The Watcher. Or ask me questions about The Watcher and maybe I'll be able to answer them. Yeah, that's what I want you to do. I want you to comment below about The Watcher or American Horror Story. And I'll answer honestly about those things. Thanks for taking this time. Listen to me scream at the void about a TV show that came out last year that I don't know how many people watched, but I hope it wasn't many. There better not be a next. Catch you later. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.